friend of mine sent me an article the other day. It was about a former atheist astrophysicist who had converted to Christianity. It was her story. I found the story interesting. The reason I found it interesting is because once a worldview has been established, it's almost impossible to change. A friend of mine a few months ago, this is a friend that we were always talking theology or philosophy, and he asked me, "What are you learning right now?" And I told him, I said, what I'm learning is that I can't trust the Bible, that it's inconsistent. And he said, "Steve, if you could prove 100% that the Bible's not true, I still wouldn't believe you." See, these worldviews that we have get ingrained into our being, and they become who we are. And to change that is almost impossible. 80%, I think it's 86% of all conversions to Christianity occur before the age of 14. 96% of all conversions occur before the age of 30. So when our worldviews are shaping, once they get in place, it's almost impossible to change that. So to hear stories about a former atheist who becomes a Christian, or a Christian who becomes an atheist, or a Christian who becomes a Muslim, or a Baptist who becomes a Mormon, those stories are fascinating. It's fascinating to try to pick out what caused this, because usually it was some trigger that got them thinking about their worldview. When I was in seminary, one of my professors told me that, or told the class, that worldviews in general, and Scripture in particular, our views on those are formed by our view of God, or our understanding of God, our understanding of mankind, our views of sin, and our love ties. And once those get established, it's almost impossible to change, especially the love ties. And I would add to that, our worldviews are shaped by our experiences. So in response to my friend who sent that article, the first thing I would say is that we all like when smart people and astrophysicists agrees with us. We all like that. It's the one thing that kept me in the Christian faith as long as I was. As I was having these questions, I began to ask myself, N.T. Wright probably has come across these arguments, and he's still a Christian, and he's a smart guy. So maybe I should hang on for a little bit longer. But there's smart people that hold all kinds of worldviews. And it's also kind of insulting to our own reasoning and our own logic if we're looking to somebody else to validate our belief system. We're incredibly capable people. We have an incredible capacity to know and reason. Our brains are amazing things. What we have to do is weed out all the influences that keep us from learning. I know there's probably blind spots in my own worldview now, and hopefully you can help point those out to me. But to look to someone of intelligence, quotes, to validate our position, I think it's insulting to ourselves. And the next thing I would say, if it's true that our view of God, our view of mankind, our view of sin, and our love ties are what shape, and our experiences are what shape our worldviews. If you look at the story, and I'm going to post the link to the story where you can check it out. I'll either put it in the description or somewhere I'll put the link where you can read it. If you read her story, she was an atheist. She didn't grow up in the faith, and she admitted before she got to college she had only met 3 Christian people. She was from Canada, and at that time, in that area of Canada that she was living in, was kind of a post-Christian world that she grew up in. And her physics professor was a Christian, and she admired him. So there's a love tie that's getting connected. And then she eventually came to a belief in God, and then she married a Christian man, another love tie. I'm not saying that that's the only reason that she came to that conclusion, but the love ties and those experiences helped her change her worldview. It was also interesting that this occurred in college, so she was under the age of 30, where it's more likely that a worldview will change. So that's my 2 cents on this. If you've got a worldview and you're older than 30 years old, the likelihood of it changing is probably not very good. Just examine your worldview and determine how your worldview can make you the best you that you can possibly be. See you next time.